Hey, it's Kat from the Physical Evolution. Thank you for joining me for this Monday makeover video. Today's topic is something that came up in my life a couple of times last week, but it actually always comes up in my life. It's something that is kind of recurring, and I know a lot of you will resonate with it because it seems to be human nature. It is the fact that we can't be gentle with ourselves when we don't achieve certain things, or we don't reach certain goals, or we don't meet certain accomplishments. Now, generally speaking, this list of things that we need to achieve, or this list of expectations, they're usually set by ourselves. When I think about me, it is something that I've outlined for myself that either I need to achieve for the day, or whatever the case may be. And you'd think that because I'm the one that outlined it, I could also be a little bit more lenient when I don't meet those certain things, that check those certain things off the list. And, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But in this particular instance, I really didn't. And it's something that, does recur for me. And it makes me feel like shit, I actually make myself feel like shit. So I thought I'd talk about it a little bit because it's so unnecessary. It really is so unnecessary to make ourselves feel that way. And we are the people that can change that. So I wanted to give you an example. It was last week and I'm still catching up with all my month-end stuff. I took a lot of time off over December, so I'm playing catch up with all of this work that is kind of like built up. And it was a particularly hectic time, and I've been managing my time really, really well. And I've been like, okay, cool, these are the things that I need to do this day. These are the things I need to do this day. And on this particular day, I didn't meet the demands of my timetable. And at the end of the day, I was so upset with myself. I looked back on the day and I was just like, oh, Catherine, what have you been doing with your time? Where have you been? I can't believe you didn't get all of this done. This is kind of like my internal dialogue. And then there's another voice in there, a kind of more gentle voice going, okay, well, let me just think about it. These are the things that I actually did get done. And I kind of went through the list, and when I realized the enormity of what I actually had done in comparison to what I hadn't done, I was like, okay, but that's all right. It's really not that bad. You really didn't not achieve today. And on this particular day, so we're moving to the UK, if you don't know that already, and we're taking our 2 cats with, and it's a huge process to get them ready to travel. You have to get all of their vaccinations up to date. And then you have to wait a certain period of time before you can get a blood test done to make sure that all of their vaccinations are in fact up to date. And then 3 months from that blood test to the day, they have another checkup, and then they can travel. They actually get physical travel documents. It's very cute. So I'm in the middle of that process, and we've got all the vaccinations up to date, but I still had to take them to get their blood test done. And because from the date of the blood test, you count 3 months. I mean, that's a long window. And, we are kind of sitting, waiting for our visas at the moment. And once we get our visas, once we get our visas, we have to travel within 30 days. So there's a possibility that we're going to be without the cats for a certain period of time. And obviously I wanted to make that window as small as possible, so I really needed to get the blood test done. And on that particular day, I took the cats to get the blood test done. I actually decided I cannot keep on waiting. There's always something that's more important. There's always some project. There's always some report. There's always some meeting. Today, there's no meetings. There's nothing that's really hanging over me like urgently. I'm taking the cats today. And that in itself is a process. Like, I have to put catnip in their cat boxes, have to try and get them in without getting clawed to crap. And I still get clawed to crap. Have to take a child with me, excuse me, to speak to them in the car, and keep them occupied and make sure that they're happy, and drive really slowly. The vet we go to is quite far away. But we did it, and we got the blood test, and from that day, we're now counting 3 months. So it was like one of those major things that I ticked off my list. But because it wasn't work related, because it wasn't like money related, it wasn't like bringing in income, I was sitting there thinking like, well, what have you achieved today? You did nothing. And it was absolute bullshit. I did the hugest of the hugest tasks. It was one of the most important things. And when I circled back to that and realized like the importance of what I actually had accomplished, it just made everything okay. And it made me think about this whole concept of how we are so strict with ourselves, and we just, we constantly want to perform, and we want to do our best, and we have these goals, and we have these dreams, and the dreams are not going to work if we don't, and there's all these stepping stones that we have to take to get to this place where we want to be, and that's fantastic. But if we don't manage to take a particular step on one particular day, it's okay. It's really not a train smash, and we need to stop ourselves from making ourselves feel guilty. We're actually allowed to take time off. We're allowed to chill. We're allowed to have days where we don't achieve anything at all. That's okay. But somehow we're all in this mindset of we have to constantly be doing something and moving somewhere and progressing, when actually we don't. It's okay if we're not. So I thought about it, and I was like, well, how do I stop this in myself? And I thought, well, the first thing is the awareness. Yay, kudos for that. You have to have the awareness of it, and you have to be able to catch yourself when you're doing it and say hold on, hang on a minute. This is what's going on right now. I can see I'm berating myself for X, Y, Z because of ABC, whatever it is. And to stop in that moment and to just think, okay, well, is it that important? The fact that you're not achieving this right now, is it that important? What is going to happen if I don't do this right now? Is the world going to collapse? Is somebody going to die? Am I going to lose my clients? Am I going to lose my job? What are the implications of not achieving that right there in this moment? And if you did it tomorrow, would it be okay? And I think if you can ask yourself that question and honestly give yourself an answer, you can free up so much of your guilt. You can let so much of that go, because most of the time we actually don't need to be doing those things right there and then in that moment. So awareness is the first thing. Questioning it is the second thing. And then the third thing is just reframing our thoughts around it and retraining ourselves to think actually, I'm doing the best that I can, and what I am doing is amazing. The rest doesn't actually matter. What I'm doing is more important than what I'm not doing. Does that make sense? It's we keep on looking at the stuff that we're not achieving when we should be looking at the stuff that we are achieving, and focusing on that, and focusing on how much value that is actually bringing us. So yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. And it's something that I'm going to be taking forward with me and practicing a lot more. And I hope that it helps you too. Awareness, questioning, and reframing the way that we look at these things, and the way that we look at ourselves, and the expectations we place on ourselves. Super important, I think. I hope it helped. And if you like this video, you can subscribe or share or comment or like or whatever it is, depending on what platform you're on. I'd love to see you again. I'd love to connect with you. Have a wonderful week. Mwah. Peace.